If you're first starting out with TIG welding and you're wondering what the fastest way to get good is, we're gonna talk about this today on my show. I get sent messages from people online pretty often asking, what is the fastest way to get good at TIG welding? And basically, are there any shortcuts? Today, I'm gonna be Captain Buzzkill, and that answer is no. And I'm sorry, but here's why. With TIG welding, there is so much to learn over the years, and this starts out with stuff as simple as torch and machine setup. Sure, you can go online or look at somebody that you know and fire up some examples of machine and torch setup and see what others have done. This might help you out a little bit to get off the ground up and running, but there is so many variables with everything that you would be using any setting or machine on. Then beyond even just getting set up with the physical gear, there are the so important introduction to the basics of TIG welding to follow that. One of the things that helps people out the most with this one is a mentor or somebody to teach them. If you do not have a mentor, things are a little different nowadays. You can pop online and see some pretty amazing teaching out there. There's other channels I love out there. Check out more than just my channel if this is the first one you found. If you're looking to get started, check out this episode right here. This episode will help you get up off the ground, or if you're looking for something a little more thorough, you can get in touch with me personally. Email me about my program. Link is in the description below. The fundamentals of TIG welding is absolutely the most important part. How you start out with learning is going to set the tone for everything to come after that. Then even after all of the fundamentals that you should learn off the start, there's ways to start learning each joint individually. We don't just set up a joint and send it. There's a way to learn each joint individually step by step. So not only do we learn how to do it, we learn all of the fundamentals and small nuances to each one individually. The path to understanding this stuff is a long one. As somebody who's been welding in production TIG welding for almost 2 decades now, I am still learning. Even the jump from one type of metal to another is a big jump. I started off learning how to TIG weld aluminum, and when I learned onto something like stainless steel, that jump was big and there was a world of difference. I'm teaching people this right now. Shout out to Brody. A lot of people finding out that this is not an easy jump. To this day, I am still learning about certain ways to go about working with stainless steel. And especially now that I'm attaching these things to my artwork that I'm doing, I have learned even more about it. So if somebody wanted to learn how to get comfortable as fast as possible, here is what I would recommend. As I mentioned, get a teacher. Get a teacher who is good at doing what you want to do specifically. If you wanted to be a doctor, you wouldn't get Dr. Nick from The Simpsons to teach you that, would you? Don't do the same with welding. There are so many different ways that people can use welding. So find a teacher that is appropriate for the type that you want to learn. If you want to get into welding construction, that's a dope avenue for welding. But find a way to get into that type of welding. There's welders' helpers jobs. There's traditional school settings, something that does or teaches that type of welding. Aerospace. Aerospace welding is awesome, but obviously you can't just go to NASA or Boeing with a resume. So look at what jobs those jobs require to even walk into the door. And there you go, that gives you somewhere to start. You see what I'm doing here? I'm finding out what's going to directly teach me what I need to know and pursuing that. There is a lot of value in working in a shop or a type of welding that may not be the type of welding you end up doing. But what I'm saying is you really want to dial in and set goals on what it is you exactly and specifically want to do with welding. Do that. I went to school, a lot actually. I learned a ton of different types of welding, and 100% without a doubt will never ever have to use in real life. Stick welding, wire feed, plasma arc gouging, and a bunch of other stuff that I'll probably never actually use in a real work setting. Actually, that's not true. I do wire feed all the time. But you get what I'm saying. I am very happy that even though I'm not going to be using these in the work setting I'm doing now, or the work setting that I want to be doing, I'm very happy that I learned them. But in a lot of circumstances, a lot of these things were taught by people that, to be honest, sometimes weren't that great at it either. Or I learned on a job site in a situation that took way longer than it should have. I am one person who wanted to learn one type of welding and get really good at it. Once I learned how to get really good at that type of welding, I then branched out to other things that I was interested in. That's where I learned how to do wire feed and a bunch of other stuff in school. And even after learning all this stuff, I am still, to this day, learning how to get good at the one type of welding I wanted to learn in the first place. And even after almost 2 decades of doing production TIG welding, I still have a long road ahead of me still with this type of welding. But fortunately, the one thing that I did luck out on was I did find a shop that did this type of welding, and I got my job there. Fortunately at that shop, I didn't really have a teacher sometimes that could pass knowledge down to me. And anybody knows that watches my channel on a regular basis, I had to figure all this stuff out myself. But at least after the fact, I was doing what I wanted to do. And the fact that I went back and later learned a bunch of different types of welding, as I said, going to school, taking on other jobs at the shop, etc. Actually learning different types of stuff only made me a better, well-rounded welder, and it came back to the type of welding I loved so much. When you get yourself in an opportunity where you get to try your hand at the type of welding that you want to do, start out smart. I talk about this on my channel all the time. If you watch that video that I recommended earlier, it goes over this in detail. Starting out smart is one of the biggest pieces of advice I can give. Do not learn the difficult stuff first, learn the simple stuff. I think you'll find out doing it that way, there's a lot more small nuances that you actually need to learn, and starting out simple gives you the opportunity to start and build your way up from scratch. I sometimes teach people how to weld pipe, just running straight passes on a blank piece of pipe. No joints at all. Same for welding plate. Most stuff you see me teach on this channel, where do I start? Start working on flat plate. No joints to start with. We run flat stuff and learn every little detail about how to do it properly there before moving on to welding full joints. And as a matter of fact, in my program, we don't even incorporate our first actual joint until the third or fourth week or something like that. We go over all of the fundamental details in extreme detail. And by the time we start putting lines down on full joints, a lot of this language is already learned by this point. So you can see the details of what I'm going over here, both with getting a job that's appropriate to the type of welding you eventually want to be doing, as well as starting out smart when you get into that position. In doing it this way, you can cover the ground that you need to get to where you want to be, in my opinion, in the fastest route possible. When learning TIG welding, there is no cheat code. There is no program, no teacher, no magic wand. This trade is for the people that work hard to learn it. Some people may get it faster than others, but in my opinion, personally, there is no such thing as talent. There is only genuine interest, work ethic, and motivation, and even in some cases, obsession. That was me 100%. It's gonna take a mix of all of this stuff, and that is how people get good faster. I really wanted to get good at my art pieces, and when I'm setting up to do an art piece, I'm running practice passes all the time. Some people see my completed art pieces and think they're super crazy, but honestly, it's just genuine practice. I do not show all of my practice sessions. Most of the time, you only see the final product. So if you're interested, hit me up on my website. We'll see if there's a way I can help you out. There are a ton of great YouTube channels that'll help you out. Courses and programs in school, tons of ways to learn how to do this trade. But no matter which way you go, it's always hard work. In my opinion, it's just a matter of picking the path that will get you there in the straightest line possible. Go out today and do a random act of kindness for a stranger. If you're an arc head who watches the show every week, leave a dime in the comments below. I love seeing those. For Pacific Arc TIG Welding, my name is Dusty. Fill and chill. We'll talk soon. Peace.